Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Live with me, Ros Astengo. Today's topic, vegan or meat eater? The United Nations says raising animals for food is one of the top 2 or 3 most significant contributors to the most serious global environmental problems. The most powerful step that we can take as individuals to halt climate change is to stop eating meat, eggs and dairy products. That's from the UN. In other words, a vegan diet is plant-based and consists mostly of plants, vegetables, fruits, beans, legumes, whole grains, nuts and seeds. And vegans also cite ethical concerns about animal suffering. Well-planned vegan diets can give you all the nutrition you need, say experts, and reduces the risk of chronic illness such as heart disease. But, on the other hand, meat eaters might argue that humans have eaten meat for over 2 million years. Scientists believe animal protein was vital for helping our ancestors develop larger brains, meaning that humans likely wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for eating meat. We evolved to be meat eaters and having meat as part of our diets. Animals eat meat and, well, humans are animals too, and it's a natural part of our diet. Well, joining me to talk about both those sides are Seeds of Change Group Yvette Potter.
Hi.
Hi, and local restaurateur and proud meat lover Vijay Vatvani.
Hello, Ross. Hello, Yvette.
Okay, so we're talking about this. Yvette, I'd like you to tell me about your journey to veganism. Why did you specifically become a vegan?
Well, I started being a vegetarian about 10 years ago, and basically it's transitioned. I realized that I wanted to do a little bit more, and there was a lot of cruelty involved in milk products, in cheese and such, yogurts, and I then decided that I had to go vegan. So what made me more, transition faster was the fact that I acquired my dog 10 years ago, my dog Hori, who died a few years ago now. And I felt that connection. I felt that if we don't eat dogs, why would we eat an animal, another animal?
And you've made it a mission, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
With your Facebook page to educate
right.
others.
Yes, in 2016 we started Seeds of Change, which was basically a vegan page, but for all, it's the vegan lifestyle really. Cruelty-free living, stuff that's not tested on animals, like makeup, household products, and even clothing and furniture.
Okay. Vijay, if I can come to you,
Yes.
You're a restaurateur. Uh-huh. Meat is obviously a great part of your industry. You make a lot of meat dishes. What do you think about this move? Because there is a gradual shift towards veganism. In the UK, numbers have quadrupled over the past few years. What do you make of it?
We've certainly seen the trend go from vegetarian and now not so much in Gibraltar, less amount, but there are more vegans. There still, our clientele is more meat eater than not. But yes, there is a little bit of a vegetarian. What we've had to do is adapt in our menu to cater for vegetarians. We do respect totally their opinions, their thoughts, their way of eating. Nevertheless, our meat eater is our main clientele. I'm a meat eater. My wife is vegetarian. But there is a market for everybody. We've had to adapt and change a little bit our menu. Nevertheless, meat is our predominant.
Have you seen quite an increase over the last few years? I mean, we've certainly there's a restaurant devoted to vegan food here in Gibraltar, as we all know, the Casbah, and other outlets are offering vegan options. How significant a shift towards veganism have you seen?
We've had to change a little bit, not massively, to vegetarian options more than vegan options. There is a definite trend going up on vegan, but vegetarian has always been quite predominant. My problem with vegans, not problem, my difficulty is in sourcing things to make a vegan dish tasty, if that's correct word. Yes, you can use your spices, your condiments, but things like cheese, milk, cream, which is quite predominant in restaurant cooking, is not acceptable to vegans. So we have to adapt with that.
Okay. Let me just ask you personally, because you said that you're a meat eater. I'm also a meat eater as well, I have to say. But for you, I'd like to ask you, scientifically, it has been proven that a vegan diet is so much healthier. It helps prevent a lot of chronic disease. We'll talk about environmental and ethical concerns later. Why are you not moving towards veganism yourself? Why are you still eating meat?
Ross, I've always believed that everything in life should be done on a balance. So, by the same token that I would not include vegetables in my diet, I will also make sure that I have a balanced meat. It gives you different proteins. If you're going to go on the health-wise, you're going to give you a different iron, very important in many meats. Fish, potassium. There's a lot of goodness. I think again, if you look at our history. Our body structure, our teeth are made for meat eating. You've got canines, so obviously meat eating is in our diet. I wouldn't change it. No, I enjoy my meat. I do eat a lot of vegetables, and I try to keep maybe one day, for health reasons, to relax the meat section. I have one day vegetarian normally a week.
Okay, Yvette.
Yes.
Does Vijay need to eat meat and fish? And,
No,
and
he
all
doesn't.
those?
None of us do.
Can we get all our nutrients?
We
from
can.
A
We can
vegan
get
diet?
all our proteins from a lot of different vegetables and iron as well. For example, spinach is 49% of protein. And meat, actually, beef has actually got 25.8% of protein only. So we've got kale, broccoli, cauliflower, mushrooms, parsley, all have more than the actual meat.
The other thing I'd like to bring up, which is what I find the hardest thing about a vegan diet, is that it's quite carb heavy, isn't it? You tend to have vegan dishes with either rice, pasta or bread. And if you're trying to avoid those sorts of carbs, it's a little bit difficult, isn't it?
Well, you don't have to always include rice, potatoes, and bread. You can, there's plenty of legumes. You can use chickpeas. I use a lot of edamame beans. I think it's edamame beans.
Yes.
Edamame beans. I never say it properly. And I love beans. And I find that I don't have a problem with anything like that, quite
Okay. And
honestly.
what about vitamin B12? Because that is essential. And that is not in a vegan diet. And it's in fact, it's from animal products.
Vitamin B12 is actually... it is in some veg, right? But you'll find that not everybody that is a vegan is vitamin B12 deficient. For example, my husband, who eats meat, he's vitamin B12 deficient, and so is my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. They all take supplements. I am, because I've got a stomach issue, so I have to take my shots, and that's it. But you don't find that all vegans are vitamin B12 deficient. I think that's actually quite a fallacy, because a lot of now cereals are actually fortified with vitamin B12.
Sorry to...
Yeah.
I agree. You possibly, there are ways you can get vitamin supplements. There's ways that you can avoid meat, but... I'm a food lover. I really enjoy my meals. Anybody who knows me, they will always see. And I do really enjoy different meats, poultry, fish. I realize in my life now, I've moved more towards fish. I enjoyed before I didn't. Nevertheless, I do eat a lot of vegetables, which give you other vitamins, other supplements. I think you have to have both. You have to have a balanced diet. What says it? Balanced, you know?
Okay, well, here's the thing, and this is the crux, I think, for many people. The agriculture industry is scientifically said to be responsible for more greenhouse gases than all the world's transportation systems combined. That is an absolutely phenomenal statistic.
It's horrific, yeah.
A University of Oxford, just to say this study as well, has said that dietary greenhouse gas emissions among meat eaters were between 50 and 54% higher than those of vegetarians, and 99%, 102% higher than those of vegans. So your carbon footprint is way bigger. I think up to 73% overall if you're a meat eater than if you're a vegan. That is, it's hard to argue with that science, Vijay.
I will argue with that, because I think what we're talking here is industrial meat production, which I do not believe in. If you come to any of our restaurants, we only use animals which have been reared in the wild, if that's a right word, grass-fed, looked after. We don't... encourage anybody buying meat which has been grown specifically for eating. Well, like in, for example, we don't use veal. Veal is when a cattle has been put in a pen, not moved, so it doesn't get any muscle, so it gets more meat, less fat. We don't believe in that. We believe in free range. Even our eggs is all free range, and we're very proud of that. We use natural potatoes. We try to source, and today it's easier to source as much natural, well-bred animals, which in fact give you a lot more taste as well.
But would you say that makes any difference at all? The fact that Vijay is saying that the meat that he sources is ethically produced.
No. It doesn't matter. It's all agriculture. It's not. We can't differentiate between one farm that is okay. Well, okay in the sense that they're all slaughtered. No animal wants to die for us. But then intensive farming, it's all farming. All animals, they emit the methane. And the methane gases are the second biggest contributor to the environmental issues. First is the fossil fuels. And that we're talking about 75% of the grain and of the soya that is actually grown by agricultural farmers is used for the animals.
Now, Vijay, would you? How can you argue against that? Because even though you're talking about free-range chickens or whatever, the methane gas that's produced from livestock is the same whether it's ethically reared or not.
By the same, the best growing land, the one that yields more vegetables, is one which has been introduced with manure, with animal manure. So. Plus, I strongly believe if the world tends to go more towards towards crops, then there will be more space required, hence less grazing space. If there's less grazing space, then there's no need for animals. So in a way, isn't that more cruel to get eventually rid of all cattle, sheep, if vegans have the way, and we need more vegetables, we need more space and less grazing lands. It's simple.
Well, Vijay, nobody's going to go vegan overnight. But apart from that, we are deforesting the world. We are actually mowing down forests. Maybe the sizes of England,
but not for cattle. We are.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No. This is for cattle farming.
This is for not for grazing.
This is for cattle farming. If you go, for example, to a place like Murcia and you just go up the road, I mean, not very far from here, and you go off into the countryside, you can see. To me, they are concentration camps, and they are like massive amounts of them.
I don't agree with that.
Vijay, can I just put to you that a lot of the cattle you're talking about, animals would disappear, but a lot of the livestock that are reared are specifically for slaughter for human consumption. So
what do we let some cattle live? Without them being slaughtered, we don't have any more milk in our tea, and no more yogurts, and it's a sad world. I'm sorry, I am a food eater,
I completely understand.
I like my yogurt for breakfast.
Yeah.
I like my cream puddings for dessert, and I enjoy it. I don't think I'm being cruel. I really don't.
But there's a lot of substitutes.
There's a lot of substitutes, but apart from that, we've got to realise that we have to change our ways of eating, because what's happening here is that nobody wants to change the ways of eating, but unfortunately we are going to get to the point where there will be no return, because environmentally we are heading for a total disaster.
I agree.
If we do not change our ways, what's going to happen is we will get there.
I think it's exactly the same by producing vegetables for vegans. I think it's exactly the same.
Okay, I want to talk about the fact that the vegan diet isn't completely, it's not completely without harm to the environment. I'm only going to take one example now, because I'm sure that there are lots of others, but let's say the avocado, which is a favorite of vegans. It's a $5.6 billion industry, and it's causing vast biodiversity damage, deforestation, and massive water consumption. It's simply not sustainable. And that's just the avocado. So, the vegan diet isn't exactly completely free from damage to the environment.
No, of course not. But then at the end of the day, what are we trying to save here? We're trying to save the animals. And I'm telling you, an avocado hasn't got a central nervous system. So
but we're talking about the environment.
Yeah, but environmentally, something has to give. So if we're going to go towards the point that we're going to go into vegetables, and also it's going to be still, it's going to be, no matter how much cattle we put out there, it's still going to be a lot less damage done to the environment that we do with cattle.
That is a scientific fact.
Surely, Yvette, the amount of water that will be as a surplus required to grow all these vegetables in general is a lot more harmful, especially we hear all the time about lack of water. Water is a must for the human being. So at the end of the day, where I'm understanding it, yes, we're not sacrificing any more animals, but now we're doing harm to the human being for lack of water. So I think that's the worst of the two evils.
No, not at all, because you know how much water is required to have a steak. A hell of a lot more water that is required to create an avocado, I can tell you that.
The International Water Institute management says meat eaters consume 5,000 litres a day as compared to 1,000 to 2,000 litres by people on vegetarian diets.
And by 2050, we're going to have loads of problems because
we need to move on.
Crops.
Let's move on to this idea of cruelty versus exploitation.
Yeah.
Now, it's a well-documented cruelty.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell us about your feelings of cruelty in the meat industry.
Yeah, I feel that, look, cows get impregnated all the time. I mean, the normal lifespan, we're not letting animals grow old, for example. A normal cow would live a life of 16 to 20 years, right? They're not. For example, they are slaughtered at 6 years old or even less. If you're a male, well, that's it then. You go straight to slaughter, okay? As he was saying before, the veal and everything else. Right. For chickens are killed at 49 days old, which is actually nothing. It's nothing. It's less than 2 months or whatever. They would have a lifespan of, for example, 3 to 7 years and maybe even 11 if treated properly. And pigs at 6 months, that's it. They're culled, okay? And those gestation crates are just horrific. So,
Vijay.
You know, that's all well and good, but then if you're going to keep all your cattle till 20 years old and they have to be fed. They have to be watered. They have to be put somewhere. They have to be looked after. Also,
not if you're a vegan. Though.
Also, therefore, that we eliminate all these animals because there's no need for them.
We can send them to sanctuaries and they can live happily ever after.
Because those sanctuaries are needed to grow vegetables.
The other issue is, though, vegan isn't cruelty-free either because animals might not be abused, but we often hear stories of humans in forced labour situations, exploitation, child labour, lack of labour rights in some of these poorer countries.
Completely.
So,
I mean, we've got big companies that are exploiting, for example, coconuts. I mean, they're sending animals up to
coconuts, palm trees,
everything.
You know?
I think that the human basically is the scourge of the earth, really, to be absolutely honest. I mean, but we need to, because we really need to. Everything, all consumption is because that's the problem, consumption, and everything needs to come down.
But Yvette, surely this is exactly what we're talking about. By saving all these animals or not culling them, by doing that, then you're creating another monster with human exploitation to grow more vegetables cheaper. Obviously, you go to what is now the demand of vegetables is so. I get strawberries from Sun Supply, and you taste the strawberries, and they taste of nothing.
Okay, we ran a poll today on our Instagram. It's a very short poll asking how many meat eaters and vegans were out there, and our result was 23% were vegan and 77% meat eaters. I mean, that's certainly a higher figure for vegans than perhaps a year or two ago.
That's actually I am very impressed with that.
I thought it'd be about 20%. I would have thought.
I'm very impressed with that. I am very happy with that.
We have to unfortunately round off this very interesting debate. Vijay, can I ask you whether anything Yvette has said has convinced you
at all? Nothing.
No,
you're
still going to continue eating your meat.
I'm willing to eat my steak.
Not even the environment.
I like I said before, I make sure it is better bred. It does make a difference to the environment, and it does make a lot of difference to the taste as well. If you like a good steak,
I think that you've missed a point completely, which was that we're trying to save the animals. And basically, and no matter how humanely, you can't tickle any cattle to death. I mean, you obviously you're killing them, and it's not a nice process.
Quick question:
yeah.
Would you eat
cattle
that has died naturally?
No, I wouldn't eat anything.
So,
okay,
there you go.
we're going to have to end the discussion there. Thank you so much. It's been really
Thank you.
interesting.
I knew what you were going to say.
If I might just say, as someone myself who eats meat but is trying to go towards veganism, I have a lot of support from a colleague of mine in the newsroom who's always encouraging me, Katie, and she has said to me, and I think it's quite true, that perhaps it's not something that you do overnight. It's something that you gradually move towards.
That's right. Some people, it's a huge transition. Yes,
we may not become completely vegan, perhaps reducing meat consumption, certainly as a first stage.
Well, like I said, I would more accept a vegetarian than a vegan, because I think a vegan, for me, is a bit too extreme. No meat, no cheese, no milk, no yogurt, like I said before.
I think
look at me, I'm healthy. I look really well.
I know a lot of people
used
would
to eat meat before. That's
that was
a remedy. remnants of it.
I know a lot of people would agree with you, Vijay. I know that a lot of people will find it hard to give up those things, but I guess
we still serve loads of vegetables with our steak.
It's about priorities. Thank you very much,
Thank
Vijay.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yvette
Thank you.
Potter for coming in to see me. Stay with us here on Radio Gibraltar for